been almost 5 months since the beginning of the Russian invasion into Ukraine. 5 months. And there are no signs the war is slowing down, and it seems to be getting tougher for Ukraine. Only yesterday, President Volodymyr Zelensky fired two top state officials after a slew of government officers were found to be working actively for Russian interests. Despite this, some Ukrainian MPs are looking to the future by clearing the path for Ukraine to join the European Union. Joining me to unpack all of this is Ukraine MP Halyna Yanchenko. Helena, thank you for your time. The President must have been horrified to learn that his Prosecutor General and the head of state security had to go, that they allowed 60 traitors, officials, to work against the interests of Ukraine. This is the last thing you people need.
Well, yeah. Hi. Currently, we should say that the investigation is ongoing, so the results are not here. But definitely, if there are some betrayers in the system of law enforcement agency, then the heads of this law enforcement should be responsible, and they should take both political and some personal responsibility for these facts. But however, this fact, it underlines that Ukraine is fighting on all the front lines.
Yeah.
External front lines, we are fighting with Russia, like physically with our weapon, with our army and stuff like that. But Russians and Russian agents are also working hard in civilized countries, like in European countries, in states, trying to push some Russian propaganda and to actually damage reputation of Ukraine and stuff like that. But they also try to penetrate their agents in some Ukrainian state bodies, and we are fighting them even in some state bodies in Ukraine. And we are doing, in my opinion, great job. We will continue fighting Russia on all front lines.
War from all fronts, you're quite right about that. I noticed that a body collector working in East Ukraine says he's lost count of the number of dead soldiers he's found. He says over 5 months it could be more than 300. The death toll may be way more than what is reported, Helena. You must be wondering how the world can sit on the borders and watch this carnage continue.
The number of victims among civilians it's difficult to describe with any words. It's difficult to find any words to describe these atrocities that Russians are doing in Ukraine on a daily basis. I should tell you that there are different numbers. There are different numbers of victims among civilians. UN reports that there are over 10,000 of murdered Ukrainians among civilians. There are some over 35,000 criminal cases recorded by Office of General Prosecutor, Office of Ukraine. But the real numbers, in my opinion, are much bigger because people are still some rescue services of Ukraine are still finding Ukrainians under the ruined buildings and stuff like that. And one thing that I should tell you, and this is very important, is that Russia has changed their tactics and their strategies. And currently, they are hitting the civic buildings, the civilian buildings. They behave like terrorists because Russia is a terrorist state. Just a couple of days ago, they hit Vinnytsia, which is central Ukraine, and they hit offices, just working offices. They killed over 30 people, including 3 children. Over 100 people are injured, and we are talking about just regular office where people were working during the day. A couple of weeks ago, they hit a mall in Kremenchuk. Yet a couple dozen people were murdered. We are talking about mall where people are spending time, like buying some things and spending time with their families. And Russians hit that mall because that's how terrorist state behaves.
Yes, exactly. It's gross. It's gross. I want to ask you one more thing. I've only got a limited time, but I want to.
treat them, and civilized world should treat Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. No deals with terrorists. Some sectoral and some additional sanctions to the countries who are providing weapons or who are providing some, elements for Russia to help them to build more weapons.
Yeah, we must do more. We must do more. I completely agree. Just very quickly, you're very keen to see Ukraine join the European Union. It's at candidate stage now. There are a few hoops to go through. What is that point? What's important about joining the European Union?
Well, it's about it's a historical, absolutely historical decision, because Ukraine was always a part of Europe, and now it's basically finishing this historical way of Ukraine. But for us, it's also it's a matter of actually fixing the values of the society. Ukraine was fighting for its democracy, for respect to human rights, for all the basically Western values, and that's why we also want to be a part of Western countries, of Western world officially. For us, it's very important in order not to in order to stop all Russian propaganda that Russia sees Ukraine as part of their country or a part of a new USSR. For Ukraine, it's not acceptable. So we want to be a part of Western world as we are a part of Western world. And for us, this European integration into NATO is very important to actually stop all kind of Russian, attempts to attack Ukraine, to make Ukraine its zone of influence and stuff like that.
Yep.
We plan to start negotiations, another round of negotiations with European Union in the fall of this year, and we hope that none of European countries will be blocking this process.
No, I'm sure they won't. They won't want the wrath of the rest of the world. Halyna Yanchenko, thank you very much. All the very best.
Thank you.
There you go. Imagine living in that environment right now. Just awful.